All right, what's up, everybody? This is Coach 704, PEL Primetime Elite League, PEL Live. This is not going to be the normal way we do this. We will normally kind of stream uh, through the PS4 for the live shows. Let's send out a Gord alert. All right. So, on tonight's lovely episode of PEL Live, we'll go back through the things that we voted on just as a reminder. And then I'm going to talk about all the good stuff about joining the league. Um, Once again, in case you may not know um, what's going on with all that, I think in the background the Braves might have won, so that's what all that noise is. Anyways, so let me get back to all of the items we voted on throughout the off season. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to go back to the first poll that we were doing and just kind of go through that. So, first thing that we asked is, and excuse me, I'm very tired. All right, so the first one was for season one, should we skip the season and go to the draft and start the year with a year one draft? And there were 21 total votes on that. And 16 said no, 5 said yes. So we elected to start as normal in season one. Um, I always felt like starting with a draft was something, kind of different that you kind of kick it off with rookies that you can build with. But the league voted against it. So the next question was, what should the XP percentage be at for the league at all positions? And going through that, the choices were 125, 150, or 200. My vote was 150, but the majority, 15 out of 22, said 200. So um, we'll see if that really matters with the new way that you develop players. I don't know if that'll be as big of a factor this year. So the next poll question was, how many trades should be allowed per season, including off season? And on that, the PEL franchise player trade rule will not be waived until the final season of Madden 19. All right, so the choices on that were 2 per owner, 3 per owner, or unlimited trading, but the franchise player rule still applies. And 15 out of 22 voted for unlimited trading. I voted for 3 per owner. So there is a pattern here of what I voted for is not what the majority votes for, which is fine. It's fine. So we adopted unlimited trading. It was usually that's what we have been, but I was looking to kind of police that a little more, but that's okay. All right. So after that, our next poll question was, should the league allow custom playbooks? And we were actually talking about that today, I noticed in the chat. So there were 20 votes on this, and this wasn't even close. It was a 17-3 vote. And I actually voted no on this back then because for me, I don't use customs anymore. And, I voted no for pretty much that reason. But I don't mind them. It's not a big hot button issue for me because the main thing is playing sim. If you're not playing sim, it doesn't matter what playbook you're using. And I think the custom playbooks allow people to be a little more creative and put in the plays that they feel like can run really well on a consistent basis, yet still have enough to mix up what they're doing. All right. So then our next poll question was, should defensive usering, and that means, usering a guy on defense, be limited to only defensive linemen that rush the quarterback? This had 21 votes, 14 said no, and 7 said yes. So we didn't put that rule in, but we did make some changes about usering that we'll get to, I think, here in a little bit. So then we moved on to the next poll question was, should the league have a trade committee? 20 people voted on that. 15 said no and 5 said yes. And I actually voted no on that because when we started back in Madden 16, we had a trade committee and it was just a headache. Granted, I didn't have good people back then outside of Jeff and a couple of select others, but yeah, it was a real headache trying to police that. And people were making trades before they were submitting them. And, I remember vividly this one guy, it was a really one sided trade, and he was saying that he would stay in the league and, he loved these players and so forth. And he ended up getting booted 2 days later, and that just really didn't sit well with me. So I just said, you know what, let's just get rid of it. All right. So then we voted on, back up here. Um, okay. We scroll back down. We voted on what is the maximum number of times the same pass route can be completed in one game? And this is to limit the abusive routes such as the drag route, the post route, so forth and so on. There were 26 votes on this. And the choices were 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times. And 5 times won out pretty clearly. And I voted for 3. I was trying to make people throw more different routes, but we've been at 5 before in the past, so that rule pretty much remains the same. All right, so then we voted on, should there be a minimum points offer of 50 points to all free agents in off-season free agency period? And this was 28 votes, and yes won 15-13. It was a very close vote there. But we will be making sure that everyone, when you bid on free agents in the offseason, you will make your minimum bid of 50 points to all your free agents. All right. So continuing on what we voted on in the offseason. Let's see. All right. So we asked on third downs of 7 yards or more, should play action passes be outlawed? And I actually got this rule from looking at other sim leagues, and it intrigued me. So the vote was 16 said no and 8 said yes, so that rule was not adopted. But I voted yes on that rule. I feel pretty good about that one. I feel strongly about it because, unless you've got really young and stupid linebackers, it's third and long, no one's falling for a run fake anyway. Anyways, the next thing that we voted on, and this was one from my own personal desire, and it failed, as usual. So I said, I would like the league to be a play 1 year, sim the next format. And I felt like this maximized player development and roster building. And in the years that were simmed, you would play the playoffs. So 26 people voted on that. And it was actually closer than I thought it would be. 16 said no and 10 said yes. So we did not adopt that format for the PEL. But I do like the format a lot. I played in a franchise that did that a few years back, and it was awesome because you had a lot of guys that really loved player development back then. But anyway, we also voted on advance time. So we said, how often should the league advance? 23 people voted on that. And the options were 36 hours, 48 hours, 60 hours, or 72 hours. And 48 hours won very convincingly, 20 out of 23 votes. And I actually voted for 48 hours too. So that's what we've always been. And that's what we'll continue to be. Of course, we always know that once all games are settled, we're going to advance as soon as we can because I don't like idle time. We like to keep things moving. All right, so the next question we asked was what length of quarters should the league have? 28 people voted on this. And 7 minutes won out, 18 votes. 8 minutes had 10 votes, and 9 minutes had 0 votes. So we'll have 7 minute quarters once we start the season on August the 18th. All right. So then, this is a um, question that I liked. Should all screen passes go to the designed receiver? And for me, this was a sim football thing because when you call a screen pass, you call it to throw the screen. You don't call it to throw something else. That's just basically a clear out route or a route designed to take coverage away for the screen play. So 22 people voted on that. 13 said no and 9 said yes. So we did not adopt that rule. But I still feel strongly that all screen passes should go to the designed receiver. So then we asked about draft picks. And the question was, should there be a 2 first-round pick maximum for teams in all drafts? 23 people voted on that. And 12, this is a very close vote, 12 said yes, and 11 said no. And so we have the rule that you can only have 2 first-round picks in a draft. And on top of that, in the draft, trading will be turned off. So there will not be trades during the draft, so people cannot circumvent the 2 first-round pick maximum rule. Okay? So keep that in mind when you're making deals on draft night. Trade your draft picks before the draft starts. All right. So the next question was, should there be a rule restricting the trade of any rookies during their rookie season? 24 people voted on that. 15 said no, and 9 said yes. I said yes because trading of rookies is pretty rare in the NFL, but the majority said no, so we will continue to allow rookies to be traded. Sense the pattern here. All right, so the next question was, after cutting a player, should there be a 1 week in game time period before that same player is available to resign? And this is a cut and resign rule for salary purposes. So 25 people voted on that, and the results were 16 said yes and 9 said no. So this was adopted. You cannot cut a player immediately and re-sign them for salary purposes. I think it's crap. NFL, you can't do it because they have to go through waivers before that team that cuts them can re-sign them. So basically, this is what we're doing. If you have that intention, okay, you have to let them sit out there for a week's time, and then you can be able to re-sign them. Okay. All right. So the next thing we voted on, and there's only 3 of these left. Well, 2 actually. This was submitted by Cowboys Big Main. It says, should there be a limit on the famous 4 verticals play per quarter? And 21 people voted on that, and 14 said yes, and 7 said no. So on that, what it's going to be is if you have someone that's running that play too much, that's when that'll be enforced. Okay. I know there are some people in here that when it gets to be 3rd down, they're going to run 4 verticals and they're going to either throw the seam or they're going to throw the cross. And it's to a point where all you do is user what the coverage doesn't cover. Okay. and I think it's pretty simple to stop. But we have the rule in place in case that play is abused. All right. Excuse me. And then the last one that we voted on. This was a run integrity rule, and this was one that I picked up from a really good league that I played in last year. And the run integrity rule said, should all designed inside runs stay between the tackles? And that means, your dive, your inside zone, halfback ISO. There is a problem in Madden where you take a halfback dive and you cut it outside immediately, and the physics of the game does not allow to replicate real life. In real life, when people are blocking for a dive and you cut it outside, the design block for the tackle or the tight end is to kick that guy out. Okay, it's not to sit there and just dance with them like it's a zone block. Okay, and the problem is, in Madden, they try to block it, like a zone block, and you get a seal, and it's a design where the D line guy is trying to get inside, and especially on the edge on the inside dive play, and you unrealistically cut at a speed that is not, you know, replicate anyway. So 23 people voted on it. It didn't pass. 14 said no and 9 said yes. And I voted yes. So we did not adopt that rule, but that's still a sore spot for me. All right, so those are the things that we all voted on for Madden 19. And if you don't remember what the rules are exactly, um, they're on the website. Um, and that's daddyleagues.com/PEL. If you don't have access to the league, you can just go ahead and join on the join link on the homepage, and I'll add you. I need to look and see if anyone's waiting. Now, as a matter of fact, I haven't looked in a while. But um, basically, for the good stuff that we do in here, and I need to find it. Hell, here we go. So all the good stuff that we do. So right now it's PEL Live. It's typically a 20-minute show, and I'll usually do it through the PS4, but I don't have Madden 19 right now. I'm gonna probably get it on Friday, the standard edition, because I don't have a ton of money like some of y'all. I don't really care about it. MUT Ultimate Team. There's no real incentive for me to get it today, so that's why I'm doing this through Ustream. But this is not normal. I'll normally stream through PS4 so I can use the league and stuff to show things. Um, on PEO Live, I typically go through the previous week's games. I'll review the standings. I'll review power rankings if we haven't done them yet. And then I'll discuss any league issues. And then every now and then we'll open up the party chat and we'll allow for a guest or two to come on. And we'll talk about their team, some of the moves they might have made in trades, and different things like that. Then we do Storyline Sundays, and Storyline Sundays will be pre-recorded, and that's when this year, you're gonna see all the graphics and things come in on Storyline Sundays. I'll take snapshots from PS4, and I'll import those into Storyline Sundays, and there'll be some commentary. There'll probably be more videos because that's what I like doing right now. We'll go over the award races in the league. We'll analyze the league stats. Y'all have seen that before, where I like to get into the league stats and kind of analyze why people are doing well and why people are struggling. We'll share any team stories that have been posted on Daddy Leagues, on the Daddy Leagues homepage. And then we'll go through the league news and the topics, and we'll expand on those some also. Okay, so we may get a little bit of storyline like we started out with last year, but we may not go as deep as we started out with. Then we do a draft preview show, and that's one of my favorite shows of the year because you get to meet, some of the league management guys and not hear me talk as much. So what we do on that is usually it's the night before the draft. We will go in and I'll set up a party chat through PS4, and we go through every team. And usually Cody will be on there, Kyle will be on there, Jeff has been on there in the past. I think we've had some other guests. It's really open to anyone that wants to join. I think Tristan has been on, Levi's been on, and I'm saying their names, their teams. I can't remember who everyone is right now. But it's a really good time. It's probably the longest thing we do. It usually goes about an hour and a half. And then if you miss it, we always record it, and then it'll go on my YouTube channel where you can check it out. And then we do the Owners Award Show, and it's done after the season, and it's pretty fun. Some people get legitimate awards, like Ben got a sportsmanship award for all of his good deeds and goodwill to the league, and then some other people get some more fun awards. Um, and I think they even get nicknames that they stick with them, for different reasons. But it's a good thing. And typically, I like to do it in video. It's a little more fun in video. But if I don't have time, I will do it in article form. Draft grades. Draft grades, I usually do right after the draft, unless it's really late. And then in doing those, it's typically written, just so I have time to go back. Because I'll stream the draft classes, and then I use that to go back and look at the guys that were drafted and, kind of analyze it from there. And then it's for everyone that actually participates in the draft to get a draft grade. So if the CPU does your draft, you won't get a draft grade because I don't, when it's the CPU, why am I going to grade the CPU? That's just, I don't do that. All right, league incentives. This is good stuff right here, especially this year because it's harder to build your guys up this year. So if you post 10 or more team articles in one season, that's on Daddy Leagues, you qualify for a free development upgrade and a cleared salary cap at the end of the season, plus 20 million in funds if you are an owner. Oh man. So if you post 5 or more articles, you qualify for a cleared salary cap at the end of the season. Those are good incentives, and all you have to do is post about your team on Daddy Leagues. And the reason why I give those incentives for that, it helps our live show because in the live show we talk about the articles, and if you want me to focus on your team, simple, post articles. I do try to talk about everybody in one way or another, but if you want more coverage on your team, the best thing to do is post those articles, and you'll get that coverage. And I only have 2 viewers. Oh, that's lovely. I could have been doing something else. Anyway, you two, I love you. So also for incentives, if you play in 14 or more games, you qualify for a +2 boost on one player of your choosing. And that can be on any attribute except for speed or strength, okay? So those 14 games only include the regular season and not any playoff games that may be played. So keep that in mind under incentives. And also highlight videos, they can be completed upon request, but the only thing that I request is that you have the times of the highlights on your stream, okay? And then what I can do is, especially it's better if you stream through YouTube. If you give me your stream, and then I can convert it into a file where I can manipulate it and get the highlights off of it. Okay, so that's one thing I'm willing to do, as long as you give me those stream times in there. All right, so we're at 20 minutes now. Typically, I would end the show, but I'm going to look and see if there's any questions. And I don't really see any questions in the chat because I know there's only 2 people watching. So I think I covered everything I wanted to cover tonight. Next week will be a very exciting show. We'll have Madden 19, and what I plan on doing next week is kind of going through franchise and kind of showing you how it will flow throughout the league. Kind of going through how the draft looks. I'll try to have it set up to where we're in the off season, how that looks. We'll check to see if there's any changes. I'll go through those that we may have to change based on how the game actually plays. And then we'll get into some real previews because we'll have rosters and we'll kind of go through, how the league will flow. I thought about doing that tonight, but it'll be better on the PS4. So next week's show will be a little bit longer because we have a lot more to cover, and I want to give you an idea how the PEL flows with Madden 19 looking at you. All right. So, like I said, Ustream is not typically how we do this, but don't have the game. Didn't want to use Madden 18 because it's not relevant. So, um, that's the live show, man. I appreciate you guys watching. If you didn't catch the whole thing, I'll put it up on the YouTube channel some point over the next couple of days. All right, thanks, guys. Y'all have a good night.